Single mom denied opportunity with child until an amazing CEO revealed a life-changing secret. Sarah sat at her worn-out kitchen table, glancing at the bills piled high on one side and her bright-eyed son, Max, playing with his toys on the floor. The sun streamed through the window, casting a glow that felt like a cruel reminder of the dreams she once had, dreams now tangled in the relentless grind of working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. Every day was a struggle in the heart of her busy Midwestern town, and yet Sarah poured every ounce of herself into providing a better future for her spirited 7-year-old. But the American dream? It felt more like a distant fairy tale than reality. Each job application returned hollow with rejection too often. Her single-parent status deemed her unworthy of serious career opportunities. Despite the exhaustion marking her face and the tightness in her chest from worry, she wore pride like armor. Max deserved the best, and Sarah was determined to give him just that. Then, one crisp autumn morning, a rumor swept through the diner where she worked the early shift, a groundbreaking community development program aimed at helping folks like her. Promising stable jobs and new skills, it sounded like a lifebuoy thrown from a sinking ship. Excitement bloomed in her heart as she diligently prepared her application, infusing it with the passion and hope she carried for Max. This could be it. But fate was cruel. The letter arrived 3 weeks later, its stark words echoing through her quiet apartment. "We regret to inform you the denial felt like a sledgehammer to her spirit." It wasn't just the missed opportunity but the bitter sting of societal prejudice that clawed at her heart. Memories of her estranged mother's abandonment bubbled to the surface. Had her own worth always been determined by dollars and circumstances? Just as despair threatened to swallow her whole, a chance encounter changed everything. At a community event, she met Daniel, the local CEO with a past not so different from hers. He had been a single dad, too, climbing from rock bottom. He recognized her spirit immediately, respecting her struggles rather than judging her for them. "You have potential," he said, his voice steady and reassuring. "Let me mentor you." In that fleeting moment, a flicker of hope rekindled, shining through the darkness of her self-doubt. As Sarah prepared for the upcoming community event, a chance to face her dreams head-on, she wrestled with her insecurities. Her heart thundered in her chest as she contemplated what standing up for her own worth would mean. She pictured the audience, judgmental glances, whispers of gossip and her mother's haunting absence. But she also remembered Max's laughter and unquenchable spirit. She owed it to him to fight, to be the mother she envisioned. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Taking a deep breath, she stood backstage, the bright lights waiting for her to step into their glare. Max's face flashed in her mind, his sweet smile urging her on. Would her voice break the barriers holding her back? Would she inspire others to recognize their worth? With each step toward the microphone, the weight of her past pressed harder, but she knew this was her moment. It could redefine everything for her and for Max. The audience held its breath as she closed her eyes, ready to speak her truth. Would it resonate, or would she crumble under the weight of expectation? As Sarah stepped forward, the lights wrapped around her like a blanket, both comforting and blinding. The murmurs of the crowd faded into a soft buzz, allowing her heart to echo loudly in her ears. She opened her eyes, scanning the faces before her, some familiar, some strangers. Hope and skepticism blended in their gazes, creating an electric tension that danced in the air. She swallowed hard, reminding herself she wasn't there just for herself, but for Max. "Hello, everyone," she began, her voice slightly trembling but gaining strength. "My name is Sarah, and I'm here to share my story, not just for me, but for my son." The words spilled from her, each one dripping with her dreams and fears. She shared her journey, how life hadn't unfolded as she had hoped, how every rejection was a reminder of her struggles, the days spent juggling multiple jobs while dreaming of something better. She saw the audience lean forward, their interest piqued. "I am not asking for pity or handouts," she said, her voice rising. "But for a chance, just one chance to prove what I can do. I want to show my son that our circumstances do not define our futures." Each syllable felt like a small victory against the doubts she had faced for so long. As she spoke, Sarah felt a shift. She noticed nods of encouragement from the crowd, a flicker of understanding in some eyes. Daniel stood at the edge of the stage, a reassuring presence in the shadows. He knew this was not just her moment, it was a demonstration of what others like her could achieve. They were all waiting for someone to break through, to inspire courage and resilience, but suddenly, a voice broke through her thoughts. "What makes you so special?" The challenge came from a man in the front row, arms crossed defiantly. A ripple of murmurs spread through the audience. Sarah's heart stuttered. Was this where she crumbled? She had thought of this moment countless times, preparing for both cheers and jeers. The fear threatened to tighten its grip around her throat, but in that instant, she thought of Max. His bright, unyielding spirit. She took a breath and leaned into the challenge. "What makes me special?" she echoed, locking eyes with the skeptic. "I dare to hope. I dare to dream. I have fought tooth and nail for every opportunity, and I won't stop fighting for my son. That's what makes me special." A loud silence fell as her words hung in the air, and slowly, the audience began to respond. It started with a single clap, timid yet brave. Others joined in, the sound growing louder as if they were awakening from a long slumber. Sarah could feel their energy feeding her determination, pumping new life into her presentation. "Every one of you has the power to change your story. We all have battles to fight, but it's how we face them that defines us." As she wrapped up her speech, emotion coursed through her. Tears prickled her eyes, not from sadness but from overwhelming support. The applause washed over her like a warm tide, calming her earlier fears and doubts. But just before she could step off the stage, Daniel raised his hand, signaling for her to hold on. "Sarah," he said, his voice booming through the room, "don't you see? This is just the beginning. Everyone who has stood before you, they're ready to change their stories, too. Let us talk about what comes next." At that moment, Sarah felt suspended in time. This wasn't just her journey anymore, it was a collective call to action. What did next truly mean for her? As the crowd cheered her on, uncertainty twisted in her gut. Would she be able to stay strong and navigate the murky waters ahead? The echoes of applause faded, replaced by the deafening sound of her racing thoughts. Looking at Daniel, a mentor ready to guide her, she realized she was standing on the edge of something incredible. But what challenges lay ahead? What sacrifices would be necessary as she stepped out of the shadows into the light of new possibilities? Sarah held her breath as the answer beckoned, hanging tantalizingly just out of reach. The applause thundered around Sarah, reverberating inside her heart like a new heartbeat. As she stepped down from the stage, the warmth of the crowd's support lingered like sunshine on her skin. She took a moment, just a moment, to breathe and relish the swell of hope. But then the weight of reality settled back in. She wasn't just here to inspire, she was here to find a way forward not just for herself, but for Max. Daniel approached her with a broad smile, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "You were fantastic, Sarah. That was powerful." His enthusiasm was infectious, yet the undercurrent of anxiety in her chest twisted tighter. She could feel the momentum shifting, and suddenly she had to deliver not just a speech, but results. The next steps. "What do I do now?" Sarah asked, her voice steady but tinged with uncertainty. "We need to harness this energy," he replied, the grin still plastered on his face. "You've lit a fire in that room. We can turn this into something bigger: workshops, community programs. We can empower others." As he talked, Sarah imagined it. Small rooms filled with voices echoing her words, people rising up to share their stories, to reach out for their dreams. But would she have the strength to lead them? Doubt crept back in, but she pushed it away, clenching her fists at her sides. What about funding? Resources? She asked, brow furrowed. Reality had a way of cutting dreams down to size. We apply for grants, get local businesses involved. We rally the community behind it. Daniel's confidence was unwavering. He saw possibilities where she saw obstacles, and that made her heart race with a mixture of excitement and fear. Okay, let us do it. The words spilled from Sarah's lips before she had a chance to second-guess herself. There was no turning back now. Great. Daniel said, his eyes twinkling. Let us arrange a meeting with the local business owners. If we can get enough support, we can launch the first workshop next month. The thought of being in charge of something so significant made her stomach flutter. She nodded, attempting to mask her apprehension with a smile. The thrill of taking action pulsed through her veins, yet a voice whispered of potential failure. What if she couldn't deliver? What if she fell flat? As they walked off the stage together, she noticed a woman approaching a sleek, impeccably dressed figure with an air of authority. Sarah could tell she was someone important. Her presence commanded attention. Excuse me, the woman said, her tone firm but friendly. I'm Margaret, CEO of a local nonprofit focused on community development. I saw your speech, and it struck a chord with me. Sarah felt her heart race. Was this what it felt like to be seen? To actually have someone of influence take an interest? We're always looking for passionate leaders to collaborate with, Margaret continued. What you shared on stage is exactly the kind of inspiration we need in our programs. Really? Sarah blinked, surprised. You mean you'd want to partner with us? Margaret smiled. Absolutely. Let us talk more about how we can work together to lift this community. You have a story worth sharing, Sarah, and a vision that can make a difference. Suddenly, the glimmer of hope she had clung to began transforming into something more tangible, a potential partnership that could magnify her voice and extend her reach. Sarah felt a rush of gratitude and determination. This could be the beginning of something truly impactful, but a question loomed in her mind. What commitments would this partnership require? And would she be able to balance it all while being a mother to Max? As she met Margaret's steady gaze, Sarah wondered if stepping into this larger role would put her family at risk. The stakes were higher now, and the burden of responsibility loomed larger than ever. A mix of excitement and apprehension churned within her. What would she choose? Would she embrace this opportunity, or would fear hold her back? And what if she couldn't juggle both her dreams and her duties? The answers were just out of reach, lingering like a whispered promise. The moment felt electric, charged with a possibility that begged to be explored. Sarah glanced between Daniel and Margaret, the weight of their expectations heavy on her shoulders. She could already envision the workshop taking shape, walls adorned with colorful ideas and tables lined with hopeful faces. But this dream also came with a cost. The thought of managing it all alongside her responsibilities as a mother loomed over her, threatening to shatter the delicate balance she had fought so hard to create. Do you think I can actually pull this off? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Margaret, who had been surveying Sarah intently, must have sensed the turmoil within her. I know you can, Sarah. Everyone struggles with self-doubt at times. The important part is to believe in your voice and what you stand for. Her sincerity wrapped around Sarah like a warm blanket. Daniel's affirmation further ignited a flicker of hope. Remember, you're not alone in this. You'll have support from all sides. And this community? They need you. The fire in her heart felt a little brighter now, but a familiar worry crawled back in. What if she became overwhelmed? What if Max felt ignored? Could she really be the role model he needed while chasing this ambitious venture? Taking a deep breath, Sarah resolved to steer the conversation back to the practical side. Okay, she said, her resolve strengthening. What's our first action step? Let us meet with those business owners, Daniel suggested. They could help us fund the workshops and rally a network of support. Then, we can brainstorm ideas that resonate with the community. Sounds good, but I'll need help preparing for this meeting, Sarah admitted. I've never done anything like this before. I'll be with you every step of the way, Daniel reassured her. As they exchanged numbers and finalized plans, Margaret chimed in again. And I'll draft some ideas on what your partnership might look like. You'd be amazed by the impact your message can have beyond just the workshops. An image flashed in Sarah's mind, herself leading a room filled with diverse faces, all eager to learn and grow. It should have felt exciting, but a twinge of anxiety knotted in her stomach. I should probably talk to Max about this, she mused aloud, turning her thoughts back inward. Definitely. Involve him in the process, Margaret encouraged. Let him feel included in your journey. Kids can surprise us with their understanding and support. Sarah nodded, considering that perspective. Max had always been wise beyond his years. Perhaps this was something they could navigate together. You're right. He loves to be involved in my projects. It might even inspire him. As they moved to leave, Daniel shot her an encouraging grin. Let us meet tomorrow, after we talk to the business owners. We'll start shaping this idea into reality. Together, Sarah echoed, feeling excitement blend with apprehension. In the following moments, as they walked away, a sliver of fear crept back in like a shadow. Could she really change lives while ensuring her own family felt secure and loved? The drive home felt longer than usual. Each street they passed seemed to whisper her doubts and fears. The reality of what lay ahead grew larger with every passing block. Yet, when she arrived home, the sight of Max bouncing in the living room caught her breath. Mom! How was it? He asked, eyes shining with curiosity. It was amazing, honey. She exclaimed, kneeling to meet his gaze. But I need your help. Can I tell you about something very important? As Max nodded eagerly, his face filled with anticipation, she understood the truth. Decisions made in fear often dim the light of opportunity. If she chose to embrace this journey, perhaps they wouldn't just move forward as a family. They might inspire others to do the same, but would Max truly understand? Could he accept the changes coming their way? The questions swirled in her mind. Would they step into this new chapter together, or would fear hold her back from seizing this chance? With every heartbeat, Sarah felt the tug of uncertainty, and the pull of possibility. Max's eyes sparkled with excitement as he plopped down on the floor next to Sarah. The living room was filled with the comforting scent of fresh popcorn from their earlier movie night. But tonight felt different. The moment held potential promises of ideas yet to unfold. What do you need help with, Mom? He asked, swinging his legs. Sarah could feel her heartbeat race. She took a deep breath. I'm starting a new project, Max. It's a workshop for kids and adults in our community. I want to help them learn and grow together. He nodded, his expression serious, though curiosity bubbled just beneath the surface. Like a fun class? Exactly. She replied, her spirit lifting at his enthusiasm. We'll have art, science, maybe even cooking. It'll be a space for everyone to share ideas and learn together. But her voice wavered. I'm a little scared. I need your help to make it happen. Why are you scared? He asked, tilting his head quizzically. She hesitated, trying to piece together how to explain the weight of her fears without burdening him. Well, I worry I might not be able to do everything and I don't want you to feel left out. Max's brow furrowed as he processed her words. But Mom, you always tell me to try new things. Why can't you try this? His innocence struck her like a gentle reminder. She couldn't believe how mature he was, understanding yet untainted by her anxieties. You're right, she said, her voice firming. I have to take my own advice, don't I? Yeah. And if you need help, I can help too. I'll make posters or help set up tables. His enthusiasm made her heart swell. Tears prickled at the corners of her eyes. "You'd really help me?" "Of course. I want you to be happy, Mom. I'll be like your assistant." He grinned, revealing the small gap where his baby teeth used to be. Sarah pulled him into a hug. The warmth of his love seeped into her, easing her anxiety just a bit. "What if we become a team? You could be my right-hand man." "Yeah. And I can tell my friends. They'll want to join. It'll be the best workshop ever." His excitement radiated off him like sunshine. A thought occurred to Sarah. What if Max was right? If she invited him into this journey, they could share the experience, turning her fears into a family adventure. "How about we brainstorm some fun ideas tonight together? You can help me think about what kids would want to do." Max's eyes lit up even more. "Okay. Let's do a brain explosion." He jumped up, hands in the air like fireworks. They sprawled out on the living room floor, papers and crayons scattered around them. As Max doodled brightly colored ideas, Sarah felt a shift within her. She wasn't just taking on a responsibility, she was building something together. Hours passed in laughter and creativity. "What about a talent show?" Max suggested, tossing crumpled papers aside. "Or how to build a fort." "I love it. Also, we can have a motivational corner, where people can share their stories." Sarah exclaimed, her heart racing with the possibilities. Suddenly, her phone buzzed on the couch, and she grabbed it. A message from Daniel flashed on the screen. "Looking forward to our meeting tomorrow. Let's make this happen." "Hey, Max, tomorrow, I'm meeting some business owners to see if they can help fund our workshop. What do you think about that?" His little face dropped for a moment. What if they say no? The question hung in the air, echoing the fear that still lurked inside her. But then Sarah smiled, realization dawning. What if they say yes? This could be the start of something amazing. Max nodded, "Yeah. Just like our idea." The future flickered with hope. Together, they were building not just a project, but a legacy of courage in facing the unknown. As they packed up their drawings, Sarah felt a shift within herself. Fear began to dissipate, replaced by a growing resolve. Tomorrow would bring challenges, but with Max by her side, she suddenly felt ready to chase that opportunity, even if it meant confronting her deepest fears head-on. But one thing lingered in the back of her mind: would the business owners see the value in their vision? Would they truly believe in the power of a single mom and her hopeful son? The question hung like a thread, connecting her to a future that remained uncharted. The next morning arrived with a bright sun casting golden rays through the kitchen window. Sarah brewed coffee, the familiar scent wrapping around her like a warm blanket. As she poured a cup for herself and a glass of juice for Max, her mind swirled with thoughts about the meeting ahead. Would she be able to articulate her vision? Would they truly understand what she and Max wanted to create? "Mom, I made something for the meeting." Max's voice bounced through the house, pulling her from her thoughts. He padded into the kitchen, proudly holding up a colorful poster he had drawn overnight. It was filled with doodles of children playing, creating art, and a big bold title at the top that read, "Community Workshop, a place to shine." Sarah's heart swelled at his creativity. "This is amazing, Max. You really captured the spirit." Max beamed, his eyes sparkling with pride. "You think they'll like it?" "I think they'll love it," she replied, ruffling his hair. "We're going to show them something special today." The ride to the meeting felt longer than usual. Max chatted animatedly about the workshop, his excitement infectious. Sarah found herself smiling, allowing his energy to seep into her own nerves. "Remember, if they say no, it doesn't mean we failed. We'll just keep trying." Max nodded solemnly. "Like you taught me about baseball, keep practicing." Once they arrived at the bustling community center, the nerves kicked in again. Sarah took a deep breath, her heart racing as she spotted Daniel waiting at the entrance. His presence was reassuring, and he offered her a warm smile. Sarah, Max. Great to see you both, he said, bending down to give Max a high five. Hey, Daniel. Ready for us? Sarah asked, trying to keep the tremor out of her voice. More than ready. You've got a great idea, and I want to help you make it happen, he assured her, leading them into a bright meeting room filled with chairs and a long table. Around the table sat several local business owners, their faces a mix of curiosity and professionalism. Sarah's palms felt clammy as she glanced at Max, who gave her a reassuring thumbs up. It was just a room full of people, she reminded herself. Just another step forward, Daniel introduced Sarah and Max, and she felt a weight settle on her shoulders as attention turned to her. Thank you all for being here. I'm excited to share our vision for a community workshop that fosters creativity and learning for all ages, she started, her voice steadier than she felt. As she spoke about the workshops, Max slid the poster onto the table, his eyes urging her on. This is what we want to create. Sarah pointed to the poster, earning a round of nods and murmurs from the room. And all the kids will have a chance to express themselves and learn different skills, Max added, his voice brightening the atmosphere. Just as she began to feel momentum building, the room shifted. One of the business owners leaned back, arms crossed. It sounds nice, but how will this actually attract people, especially in a community already stretched thin on resources? A lump formed in Sarah's throat. That question hovered over her like a dark cloud. But she quickly recalled Max's words and reminded herself, the day was about more than just funding. It was about connection. I believe if we create an engaging environment, people will come and want to be part of it. This is about connection, bringing us together, she said, hoping her conviction would reach them. She looked around the room, meeting eyes of skeptics and some who showed interest. But before she could go further, another owner piped up. I'm not convinced it's sustainable. How will this work long-term? Max's small voice rose above the doubts. We'll keep trying. Just like in baseball, you don't give up. We'll make it the best place ever. The room fell quiet. Sarah turned to him, her heart thumping. Exactly, Max. We'll adapt, forge partnerships, find sponsors. We want this to be a community effort, with everyone involved. As the discussions continued, each word felt like a battle, her anxiety mingling with hope. She could see something shifting, glances of interest, flickers of possibility. An hour passed, filled with numbers, ideas, and a bit of back and forth. But as the meeting came to a close, Sarah couldn't shake the notion that they still needed a pivotal moment. Something to truly make them understand why this workshop mattered. Daniel stood, an encouraging smile on his face. Thank you all for your questions, and Sarah, for sharing your vision. I believe this workshop is not just about teaching skills. It's about building a community, little by little. And that is something worth investing in. As she breathed out, realizing they hadn't reached the finish line yet, she felt a flicker of hope. But just as she thought, the mood lightened, the door opened. A tall woman with sharp features and an air of authority entered. Sorry to interrupt, but I heard there's a workshop proposal in progress. The room shifted again, and all eyes turned to the newcomer. Who was she, and what did she want? Sarah's heart raced as she braced for whatever this new presence could mean for their dreams. Was she friend or foe? The weight of uncertainty settled in as the door closed behind her, shrouded in mystery. The woman surveyed the room with a cool gaze, her sharp features making her appear both serious and curious. I'm Veronica Mallory, Director of Community Development. I received word about your initiative and wanted to hear what all the fuss is about, she stated, her voice steady, echoing slightly in the stillness. Sarah's heart pounded as she exchanged glances with Daniel, who had moved to stand beside her protectively. We're really excited about creating a community workshop, she said, trying to sound confident despite her nerves. It's meant to bring together families and focus on creativity and learning. Veronica raised an eyebrow, perhaps intrigued but clearly uncertain. Interesting concept. But let me be frank. We've seen many ideas like this fade away. What is going to make yours different? Max, sensing his mom's panic, stepped forward. We'll make it fun. And everyone can help by sharing what they love. Like music and art. His enthusiasm lit a spark in the room, the tension easing just a little. Veronica looked at him, taken aback for a moment. Then she turned back to Sarah, a hint of a smile playing on her lips. If you can truly engage the community, then maybe you might have something here. But tell me, how do you plan to sustain it? Money does not grow on trees, you know. Sarah swallowed hard. We're seeking partnerships, sponsorships, and donations. We believe that when the community sees the value, they will support it financially. This workshop will be, she hesitated to find the right words, an investment, not a cost. I see, Veronica replied, her tone slightly softened. But investment needs a track record. What can you show me that proves you can even get this off the ground? Daniel interjected, Veronica, every great initiative starts with an idea and hope. Sarah and Max have already shown determination. They're willing to learn, adapt, and work hard. Veronica paused, scanning the faces around the table. If she wasn't convinced yet, then she had some doubts to wrestle with. The silence stretched until someone finally uttered, "What can we do to support you?" A flicker of surprise lit Sarah's face. It surprised her that someone could shift the conversation like that. We can hold events in public spaces, invite local artists and teachers, and make the workshops accessible to everyone, she offered, the hope in her voice palpable. Veronica nodded but remained impassive. You need to show us a plan, something concrete. When do you think you can provide that? Sarah felt the pressure building again. We can put something together right away. Max and I have so many ideas. Good, Veronica said. I like to see ambition. Max nudged Sarah's side, eyes shining. Can we do it, Mom? Can we show them what we can create? Absolutely, buddy. We'll make it happen, Sarah assured him, her resolve hardening. As they wrapped up the meeting, the air felt charged but uncertain. Sarah exchanged a quick glance with Daniel, who nodded in encouragement. They had taken a step forward, but the path still seemed foggy. Once outside, Max pulled on her sleeve. Do you think she liked our idea, Mom? I think she is interested, but we have to prove it now, Sarah said, feeling the weight of expectations sink into the pit of her stomach. But if we work hard and put our hearts into this, we can make something truly special. The car ride home felt surreal. Each bump on the road seemed to mirror the obstacles ahead of them. Her mind raced with thoughts of how they could write up a business model, engage the community, and show that this was worth their time and resources, but then, as they got closer to home, a thought struck her. What if Veronica wasn't just a professional barrier? What if she could be an ally if they could reach her on a different level? Later that night, as they sat at the kitchen table with supplies scattered around, Max's laughter filled the air. We could even do a talent show, he exclaimed, doodling wildly on a notepad. Exactly. Sarah replied, her heart lightening. Let us brainstorm every wild idea we have. They mapped out their dreams, each sketch morphing into something more tangible. As ideas flowed like a river, Sarah felt a sense of renewal washing over her. They weren't merely hoping for validation, they were building something real. But just when she thought the night could end peacefully, a text notification chimed on her phone. It was a message from Daniel, "Can we talk tomorrow?" I ran into some unforeseen complications regarding the funding. Her heart plummeted. What could that mean for them? Suddenly, like a gust of wind swallowing their plans, uncertainty settled back in, lingering ominously like a shadow. What would happen next? Would Daniel's news be a setback they weren't prepared for? Sarah sat at the table, the warm glow of the kitchen light failing to reach the cold pit in her stomach. The sketches of workshops and talent shows lay in front of her, brilliant ideas starting to take shape, yet all she could see was Daniel's text blinking ominously on her screen. Would he tell her that their dreams were dead before they even had the chance to breathe? Max, oblivious to his mother's turmoil, continued to scribble, his small face alight with anticipation. "Mom! Look at this!" he said, holding up a drawing of a stage filled with imaginary performers. Bright colors splashed everywhere. It was a world of potential, a vision that stirred a warmth in her heart, battling against the anxiety clawing at her insides. "Max, that's amazing," Sarah said, forcing a smile though her mind was racing. "We can put on the best performance this town has ever seen." But thoughts of bills and dwindling resources flooded her mind. How would she ever cover the costs if Daniel's news was indeed bad? What if they couldn't keep this fragile hope alive? "Let us make a list of everything we'll need," Max suggested, clearly caught up in his imagination, and Sarah nodded, determined to stay present for him. "We'll need a stage, lights, music and snacks." His eyes sparkled with excitement. As she watched him, Sarah felt a surge of determination. If their workshop was to succeed, it needed to be not just a plan but a rallying point for the entire community, a gathering that uplifted spirits rather than highlighted struggles. "Absolutely, buddy. A big show means big snacks," she replied, chuckling as she tried to channel his enthusiasm. They worked late into the night, the empty kitchen morphing into a realm of dreams as they brainstormed ideas for the workshop. Each laugh, each doodle felt like a heartbeat, reminding Sarah what they were fighting for. But a shadow lurked, fueled by uncertainty about Daniel's unexpected complications. When morning came, Sarah woke up with a knot in her throat. She dressed quickly, her mind churning with ideas. Yet like a dark cloud, Daniel's message floated over her thoughts, threatening to rain on their parade. Pulling the car into the driveway at Daniel's office, she felt her pulse quicken. She climbed out, her mind racing. Was he going to say they didn't qualify for funding? Or was he going to ask for more time? As she entered the building, the bright light seemed almost too harsh against her nerves. The receptionist smiled warmly, but Sarah forced a smile back, sweat gathering on her palms. This was important, bigger than just her initiative. This was about hope and fluctuating futures. Daniel emerged from a meeting room, his face neutral, but Sarah sensed the undercurrent of tension beneath his calm exterior. "Hey, Sarah," he greeted her softly, gesturing for them to sit in a nearby conference room. "Hi, Daniel. You texted me about the complications?" she asked, her heart pounding. That he nodded, looking down at the table for a moment before meeting her eyes. "The funding's on hold. There's been a serious issue with the grant application and the board is concerned about the proposed partnerships." Sarah's breath caught in her throat. "What does that mean for us?" "Look, we're still in the early stages," he said, his tone steadying her nerves. "But we need to adjust our strategy. Maybe you could consider official sponsorships instead of relying solely on the grants. Will that work? Will they even listen?" He leaned forward, his eyes earnest. "Your idea has potential. They'll listen if you're prepared. I know it's tough, but sometimes, obstacles lead to collaboration. Embrace it." It was a lot to process. But somewhere inside, a flicker of resolution ignited. Yes, there was uncertainty. Yes, things were shaky. But that didn't mean they couldn't fight for their dreams. As Sarah thanked Daniel and exited, she felt a mixture of fear and determination wash over her. They could do this. With Max beside her and a community ready to rally, they could tackle each complication head-on. Returning home, she found Max's sketches still spread across the table. The carefree child and his colorful doodles reminded her of their purpose. They weren't just planning a workshop, they were weaving a tapestry of hope in their community. But even as optimism bubbled inside her, doubt rattled against the walls of her mind. What if Daniel's suggestion wasn't enough? What if they faced insurmountable resistance? Drawing a deep breath, she held Max South's sketches close to her heart. "We're not done yet, buddy," she whispered. If they had to carve their own path, she would make sure it was full of light. But just as she started to feel a sense of control, her phone rang again. It was Daniel. Sarah, there is something I need to discuss with you, something that could change everything. And just like that, uncertainty hung heavy in the air once more, a reminder that their journey was only just beginning. What could he have to share? Would this be the turning point they had desperately needed? The cold air hit Sarah's face as she stepped outside, the weight of Daniel's call still lingering in the back of her mind. She knew she had to call him back, the urgency in his tone sent her heart racing. What could change everything? Her thoughts spiraled, blending hope and fear with every passing second. Max was still at the kitchen table, lost in his imagination, but she could sense that even her little artist was picking up on her tension. "Mom?" he called, glancing up at her with wide, questioning eyes. "Are you okay?" "Yeah, buddy. Just a little busy with the paperwork," she lied gently. She couldn't let him see the worry etched into her features or hear the uncertainty spinning in her chest. "Why don't we take a break and come up with some ideas for our show?" Max's face brightened, the sight of his unyielding enthusiasm igniting a flicker of hope within her. Together, they crafted a list filled with vibrant ideas: a talent contest, a local art show, workshops showcasing community talents, anything that could unite them in the spirit of creativity. As they collaborated, Sarah's mind drifted back to Daniel's mysterious call. She paced the kitchen, biting her lip. The fear of failure gnawed at her, whispering that maybe this was all a dream, one too good to be true, pulling her deeper into doubt. Before she could sink into that familiar pit, she took out her phone and dialed Daniel's number, each ring making her heart thud louder. "Sarah," he answered breathlessly. "Hey, Daniel. You mentioned something changing everything." He paused for a moment, and she could almost feel him considering his words carefully. "Listen, I don't want to raise your hopes too quickly, but one of my contacts in the community has resources geared toward youth programs. There's a chance we can secure a partnership if we present a solid proposal." A rush of relief flooded over her. "Really? That sounds promising. What do we need to do?" "I know you have a clear vision. If you can create a compelling pitch for this partnership, I believe it could sweep the board off their feet," he said with conviction. "You have to show them how your workshop will impact not just the kids but the community." "Okay. That makes sense. You know that energy you had when we first discussed your ideas? Tap into that. Make them feel what you feel about this project." "Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate you looking out for us," she replied, feeling the weight on her shoulders lighten just a bit. After hanging up, Sarah found herself standing taller, a surge of determination rushing through her veins. She had a clear next step. They could pitch a partnership proposal, and this wasn't just about her or Max anymore. It was about all the kids who felt unheard, unseen, those who needed a stage to shine. "Max!" she called out, her voice laced with excitement. "Let us get to work." "On what?" he asked, eagerly setting down his crayon and looking up at her. "Our idea. We're going to write a proposal to get that partnership. You up for being my co-pilot in this venture?" His face lit up as he jumped out of his chair. "Yes. Let us do it." As they worked, Sarah felt that familiar warmth grow in her chest. Together they brainstormed everything: the needs of the community, ways to showcase their talents, and how this partnership could truly lead to something extraordinary. Each idea felt like a collective heartbeat, vibrant and alive. Their laughter echoed in the kitchen, and Max's excitement was infectious. Perhaps this spark of hope was the real thing. With each word scribbled on paper, Sarah felt like they were inching closer to a brighter future, but even as exhilaration coursed through, the nagging worry still lingered. What if they failed to grab the board's attention? What if their efforts weren't enough? Just when Sarah thought they'd reached a breakthrough, the phone buzzed again, breaking the moment. It was Daniel once more. Her heart raced. What other developments could shift everything again? "Sarah, I need to tell you something important. It's about our timeline and the board's decision. We need to act fast." The storm of uncertainty was back, swirling stronger than before. Would she be ready to face whatever came next? The air was thick with anticipation when Sarah and Max arrived at the community center, proposal in hand. Nerves twisted in Sarah's stomach, but a sense of purpose surged through her with each step they took. Today wasn't just about them, it was about every parent, every kid who craved hope and connection. They were here to advocate for a future where dreams blossomed, and that thought lit a fire inside her. Max held the poster he had made, his small fingers clutching it tightly. "Mom, what if they love it? What if they give us money?" His eyes sparkled with possibility, and for a moment, Sarah could see the world through his innocent gaze. "Then we show them how special this community can be, buddy. No matter what happens, we've done something great just by believing," she replied, squeezing his hand for reassurance. As they entered the room, the atmosphere crackled. Local business owners filled the seats, their expressions varying from skeptical to intrigued. At the front, Daniel stood ready, a steady anchor in the storm of emotions swirling in Sarah's mind. "Everyone, I'd like to introduce Sarah and her son Max," he said, gesturing toward them. Taking a deep breath, Sarah stepped forward. "Thank you for being here today. Max and I have been working on a workshop proposal that aims to unite our community through creativity and learning." She could feel her heart pounding, but as she looked at Max with his expectant smile, her confidence soared. Max held up the poster. "It's called Community Workshop, a place to shine," he exclaimed, his enthusiasm catching everyone's attention. She saw nods of encouragement from the crowd as she continued. "We want this workshop to be more than just an event. We want it to be a space where kids and parents can come together, share their talents, and feel inspired," Sarah said, her voice steadying with passion. Several heads turned toward Daniel as he interjected. "This isn't just another program. It's a chance to ignite a fire in our community to create a support system for those who feel overlooked. Sarah and Max have a vision, and we're here to help bring that to life." Questions flowed, but they weren't the dismissive kind she had feared. They were inquiries about logistics, ideas on how to, and potential paths forward. Each interaction felt like a step closer to a shared goal. Sarah's heart soared as she saw the intrigue and willingness to engage in their project. In that moment of dialogue, she could hear murmurs of understanding. Conversations sparked about rallies, fundraising, ways to engage local artists and teachers. This was no longer just Sarah's battle, it was a community effort. Just as Sarah began to believe they could truly make a difference, Veronica interjected with a challenging question. "You speak of building community, but how will you handle setbacks? Not every response will be positive, and funding isn't guaranteed." Max piped up, unbothered by the skepticism. "We won't give up. Right, Mom?" His words rang out with a childlike certainty that made Sarah smile through her nerves. "Exactly. Like Max said, we reflect, adapt, and keep moving forward. And we'll be bringing our community along with us," Sarah replied, empowered by her son's optimism. The conversation flowed, and ideas exploded around the room like fireworks. Excitement grew as plans morphed, and people began to rally behind Sarah and Max's vision. She felt warmth welling up, a collective hope that was palpable. By the time the meeting concluded, a plan was taking shape, supported by local businesses who had shown their commitment to their community. The applause at the end felt like a wave crashing over them, filled with promise, optimism, and potential. Afterward, as Sarah and Max stepped outside into the afternoon sun, both bursting with a mixture of relief and joy, Max exclaimed, "We did it, Mom. They believed in us." Sarah knelt down to hug him tightly, emotions spilling over. "Yes, we did. This is just the beginning, and we did it together. Your belief pulled us through." Redemption for the past hung heavy in the air, yet a warm embrace of hope soared higher. As they walked to their car, the future shimmered with possibility. The workshop was on the horizon, a beautiful initiative ready to bloom. They had taken the first step, and it was monumental. Sarah realized that now wasn't just about getting the funding. It was about creation, transformation, shared feel-good moments, and showing others that dreams mattered. With Max by her side, she felt ready to tackle whatever came next together. And whatever challenges awaited them, they would face them as one, forging ahead into an uncertain but brighter future. Now, it's your turn to step into action. Hit that subscribe button immediately to not miss future inspiring stories. Leave a like now to fuel our community together, as every click helps spread these messages. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your voice matters, and don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation and spark their own hope. Be the change, champions.